Nice to meet you.
What's your role in this?
I'm just an instructor, but I am reading participant for the Air Force Cadets, so I'm for the Army Cadets, so I'll make sure they have their certificates.
This is pretty impressive, actually.
It's a good setup. It's a little bit smaller than it used to be, but
That's Navy stage 2 section.
okay. Well, I was just saying too, the cadets, like I commissioned 11 years ago with 11 other Air Force cadets, and now we've got 5. So we're just as a program, we're small.
I think the world's changing now, too.
Yeah, so those are in order. Signed up, whatever. The frog, one of them, the frog on the back, keeps falling both my grandfathers served. One of them was in the Air Force, one of them was in the Corps of Engineers in World War II. I didn't really know much about ROTC, honestly. I just knew that I could go to school and get this scholarship. I did it, and then I got here and learned. I didn't know the difference between officers and enlisted, honestly. And I just kind of showed up, and I got really lucky in getting what I wanted. I got the career field that I wanted and everything.
What's your Navy about this?
Yes, sir. I fly search and rescue helicopters. So basically, the Navy has their Seahawks. We call them Hawks.
60s?
Yes, sir.
60s?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, that's pretty good.
Sir, where are you stationed out of?
I'm at the Keynote.
Oh, okay.
So I do, when you stop driving submarines, you end up driving fast to see things. I was actually overseas on
Really? What's bringing you Western New York? That's good. Yeah. That's awesome. What, how much more time do you have before you retire? No, sir. I could very much continue on my career. I'm actually in shoot after this coming year after 24, my contract with the teams, which is also my 2-year conference assignment. So I've got some options. But yeah, it's actually their forces are trying to make some kind of working on your resume for roles that people actually want to do it. Because it used to be, I think, for at least for commanders, it was kind of a dead end job. It was a sunset tour. But we had a bunch of lieutenant colonels that did sunset so anyways, all that said, I don't know what I'm going to do. I might get out, I might go to the guard, I might stay in, but yes, sir. Oh, sorry, yes. This is a non-flying assignment, but you know, the Air Force run my pilot, so I keep my flight pay. Yeah, they'll send me to our schoolhouse whenever that time comes to get requalified with a helicopter. That's the one good thing. When you take these as non-flying assignments, they want to make sure you have so many gate months as an aviator, so when you come back, it's not like you're starting from scratch. You're qualified.
When you get promoted next year, I'll have to find a sign that's going on. So it's actually not that bad. It's a beautiful building.
My wife's uncle was worked in the Pentagon. He was in the Coast Guard in '06. I mean, nobody likes the traffic or the high cost of living, but I've been to the D.C. area and I see us enjoying that.
That looks like this president's area. If you, when I leave the Pentagon and you're on your way into Woodbridge, you're in that traffic. And I left over the airport at the gate in 11 minutes, and we were 40 minutes later. Serving dinner. You guys are still in traffic. It's insane. So, yes, sir. Works out pretty good. It is funny.
That's why it's funny looking. I don't know, because like in Malone, it takes me, well, it takes me 40 minutes to get to work, almost exactly, but it's also 40 miles. And in Tucson, where I was stationed for my first ops assignment, 40 minutes was like a quarter of the way across the city, and that was maybe 12 to 15 miles.
I know how that
And
works.
so it's like it's all perspective, I guess.
That's true. And Honolulu, the grocery store's 10 minutes away. Got that negotiated.
That's cool. It makes sense you're in the Navy. Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll get started in a second here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to today's ceremony. Today's music will be provided by the 10th Mountain Division Band from Fort Drum, New York. Please stand for the entrance of the official party, the posting of the colors, the national anthem, and the invocation given by Navy retired Captain Brandon Cheng.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we're thankful for this time of transition and the commissioning of these young men and women into the service of our great nation. We're thankful for the families and friends, for the parents who have nurtured and supported them. We're thankful for the educators, the professors, and the administration of Clarkson University for provoking thought and for their academic guidance. And we're thankful for the leaders and the staff of this ROTC unit, these units, who laid a foundation for tactical brilliance and service. We ask for your grace and presence on this commissioning ceremony. In your holy name, amen.
Please be seated. Welcome to the 2023 Clarkson University Reserve Officer Training Corps Joint Commissioning Ceremony. Today we will commission the cadets on stage into the United States Army and the United States Air Force. I'd now like to introduce our official party seated on the stage from left to right. Retired Lieutenant General Rick Lynch, our guest speaker. Lieutenant Colonel Tobias Clark, Professor of Military Science, Clarkson University, and Lieutenant Colonel Michelle Baxter, Professor of Air, Space, and Cyberspace Studies, Clarkson University, and Commander of Air Force ROTC Detachment 536. Professor of Military Science, Lieutenant Colonel Clark, will now introduce our guest speaker.
Good afternoon, Lieutenant General Lynch, Captain Chang, Colonel Tukalski, distinguished guests, friends, family, and most importantly, our newest group of young officers. Thank you for joining us today for the 2023 Spring Commissioning Ceremony of the Clarkson University Army and Air Force ROTC programs. It is indeed an honor to be here for such a significant milestone in these young leaders' lives. Today we honor 14 remarkable cadets, all of which are about to join the proud ranks of many outstanding and distinguished military leaders who started their paths right here at Clarkson University. First, I want to take a special moment to thank the friends and family of these fine young men and women we are honoring here today. The cadets' desire to serve can be attributed to your influence and your guidance. Their core values were instilled on them long before they arrived here at Clarkson University. Without you, these cadets would not be standing here today. Congratulations, cadets. This is truly the beginning of a great adventure. As a military leader, your advice, your guidance, your voice, they all carry weight. Your mere presence exerts influence. Be certain to use this influence for a greater good. Make sure your voice is a catalyst that inspires others towards leadership excellence. Our nation's defense rests upon your shoulders as competent leaders who are comfortable with complexity and who are capable in operating in the tactical to strategic levels. I know each of you are ready to meet the challenges of our changing world and lead America's sons and daughters into the future. I look forward to the contributions you make to the United States military. Good luck as you begin this exciting new chapter. Make us proud. While preparing for this event, I gave myself 3 key tasks: to be brief, to be brilliant, and most importantly, be gone. I've been talking for 2.5, 3 minutes and have had questionable success being brilliant. So therefore, it is time for me to be gone. In order to do so, I have to execute my one specified task. It is with distinct pleasure that I get to honor today's guest speaker. Lieutenant General Lynch has served the Army and the Department of Defense across all levels of command throughout the world as both an engineer and armor officer. He has commanded the 1st Battalion, 8th Cavalry Regiment, 1st Brigade, 4th ID, the 3rd Infantry Division, and the Multinational Division Center in Baghdad, Iraq. He also commanded 3rd Corps and was a Fort Hood commander. He received his master's degree from MIT in mechanical engineering, focusing in robotics. Lieutenant General Lynch then took this education to help further robotics across the Department of Defense. His awards include the Distinguished Service Medal, the Defense Superior Service Medal, the Legion of Merit, the Soldier's Medal, and the Bronze Star. His complete bio can be seen in your program. Without further ado, please help me welcome Lieutenant General Rick Lynch. Sir.
Yeah, I always find those introductions to be most uncomfortable. I'm just a poor boy from Hamilton, Ohio, who went to West Point only because my parents couldn't afford to send me to college anywhere else. And then I found that I loved the Army, and as a result, that stayed in the Army for 35 years and had the privilege, as Colonel Clark just said, to command at all levels. The most important thing that ever happened to me in 1982 when I met and married that beautiful blonde there in Killeen, Texas. You may not realize this, but each major installation has a city adjacent to it. The one that's adjacent to Fort Hood is Killeen, Texas. And I was a dashing young captain, and she was the director of Parks and Recreation for the city of Killeen, Texas. And I went to register my softball team. Her secretary wasn't there, so she got all my personal information from my application. And then she called me and begged me to take her out. I mean, it was embarrassing that over a 4 or 5 week period of time, I get these incessant calls. So finally, I just decided that if I get her to quit calling me, I'd take her out one time. Does anybody believe that story? I spent $690 on yellow roses because I just kept sending her yellow roses until finally I broke her. And she said, okay, I'll go out with you if you'll leave me alone. What had happened was her mom and dad were both sergeants in the United States Army. She tells folks she's the general's wife, but most importantly, the sergeant's daughter. And her dad was a bona fide war hero, World War II with the 1st Infantry Division. All the major landings, Sicily, Anzio, Normandy, he was wounded on the beaches of Normandy. And then in the Korean conflict, he was offered a battlefield commission and was awarded the Silver Star. So her dad is a big deal. I never had the privilege of meeting him because he'd passed before we met. But he asked her not to marry a GI. Whatever you do, don't marry a GI because we all know the complications of being married in the military. And I'm telling you this story to lead into an important point. I don't know why Sarah has put up with me for 41 years, but I'm glad that she did. She's a professional educator. Everywhere we went, she taught, and every time we moved, and we moved 27 times, every time we moved, she had to start all over again, but she did that with a glad heart. And we were apart 13 of the 30 years we were married in the Army because I was deployed. The general's not immune to deployment, so we were apart a lot. But the family turned out great because of her and her focus and her love and her attention and her dedication. Today is National Military Spouses Day. So if you're a military spouse, please stand up to be recognized. God bless you, and just know that we appreciate your service and your sacrifice as well. I'm honored to be here at this prestigious university, ma'am. Thank you for being here today, and I'm anxious to meet your husband later on this evening, but this is a big deal for Sarah and I to come to Clarkson University. We'd heard about Clarkson over a period of time, and this is a big deal, so we appreciate this opportunity. But I am going to focus my remarks on these youngsters over here because we as a nation have a problem that they're going to help address. If you acknowledge that we as a nation are at risk, then just know we need a strong military. And we have external threats. Hopefully you're paying attention to Russia and North Korea, and external threats like Iran, external threats like China. We got a bigger threat when we start seeing China and North Korea working together, and that should cause us all concern. Sarah and I are at the point now, thank God, we are grandparents. And God has blessed us with 3 grandchildren, a 10-year-old grandson, a 7-year-old grandson, a 7-year-old granddaughter. I'll show you pictures after I'm finished if you're interested, because I'm proud of them. But I am worried to death about the world that we're leaving our grandchildren, and you should be as well. And the only way this is going to be okay is if we have a strong military. And if the only way we can have a strong military has strong leaders and strong service members who choose to enlist. You should be concerned that last year, every branch of service struggled to meet their enlistment objectives, and the U.S. Army missed their enlistment objectives by 25%. That's 16,000 people that we need in our Army today that we don't have because they didn't enlist, and that should cause you concern. We have that major issue. And oh, by the way, we as a nation have internal threats, like domestic terrorism, like divisive people, like lack of respect for law enforcement personnel. So I'm tickled to death to be here today to welcome these individuals in as leaders for our nation's military, because our nation needs you. I mean, the future is in your hands. And I'm going to give you some ideas. It'll take me about an hour or 2 to get through them. You got the time, right? You're supposed to say yes, they're supposed to say no. It'll take me a few minutes to get through this, but there are things that I learned over 35 years in the U.S. military that I think if I shared with you early on, it might help you be more successful as you embark on this thing called a military career. Remember, you are entering a noble profession, the profession of arms. We defend our Constitution, we protect our freedoms and our way of life, and there are evil people who want to take that away from us. And you'll meet those evil people over time. I mean, Sarah and I were in Fulda, Germany in 1989 when the wall came tumbling down and the East Germans experienced freedom for the first time. But for a good portion of my career, I was there on the border looking through binoculars at evil people. And oh, by the way, the Army sent me to Desert Shield and Desert Storm, to places like Kosovo, 3 tours into Iraq. So there are evil people who want to take away our freedoms, our way of life, and that's what you're going to do. You're going to protect those freedoms. And your peace, candidly, as a lieutenant, is every bit, if not more important than my peace was as a lieutenant general. And I'll explain to you why in a minute. So just know that's true. And oh, by the way, do we have any educators out there? We should, because we're here at a university. I tell audiences all the time the 2 most important people in our society are our service members who protect our freedoms and our way of life, and our educators who guarantee our future. And unfortunately, we as a nation don't recognize that. We pay athletes and actors gazillions of dollars to play football, but we don't recognize our service members or our educators, and that's a problem. But you're not joining the military because you want to make a lot of money. And if you are, by the way, you're going to be sadly disappointed. You join the Army to protect our freedoms and our way of life by being a leader at the lowest level. So let me give you these 3 things. I learned as a general officer, speak in 3s. You know, people can remember 3 things. I'm going to give you these 3 things I think will improve your probability of being an effective leader. The first one is you got to aspire to be the very best. You can never accept mediocrity. You can never accept, hey, this is good enough, I'm going to stop here. I don't care if it's your physical fitness, if it's your tactical prowess, I don't care what it is, but it's never good enough. You know why it's never good enough? Because our service members deserve the very best. You know, I don't know why we as a nation pay our service members when they came in the military an average of $1,900 a month. $1,900 a month, but that's what we pay the private E1s across all branches of service. And oh, by the way, Sarah and I are actively involved in food insecurity, and it is a statement of fact that 1 in 6 Army families run out of money before they run out of month, and as a result of that, people aren't eating. So that's ludicrous that that's where we are, that we're not paying our service members enough to survive, but that's okay as long as you do your job. And the only way you're going to do your job is to be the very best. It's never good enough. Everybody who ever worked with me said Lynch is never satisfied, and I took that as a compliment, not as a criticism, because our service members deserve the very best, and you have to be the very best. And oh, by the way, be the best lieutenant you can be. I found myself in an awkward situation as a 1-star general because I was speaking to a dining in of a bunch of lieutenants. And I guess I did pretty good in my remarks because a bunch of lieutenants came up later and wanted to talk to me. And one lieutenant stood in front of me and said, "Hey, General, how do I get to be a general?" Now, this guy's a lieutenant, just like you're fixing to be. I said, "First off, quit asking stupid questions, Be the best lieutenant you can be, and then be the best captain you can be, and then be the best major you can be, and it all works out. But if you sit there today and aspire for lofty offices like being a general officer, you're wrong. Focus. In my book about adaptive leadership, I say, look down, not up. Take care of your people, and they'll take care of you, but be the best you can be. Quit watching useless television. Quit watching useless game. Read military history. Read military biographies. Focus on the nation's issues. Focus on the issues at hand, and you'll be a better officer. But aspire to be the best that you can be. The next one is know your job. It ties closely to that first one. You don't know anything. I guarantee you know nothing. You might have learned a lot here at Clarkson University or the other schools, but in terms of leading soldiers and doing what we need you to do on the field of battle or in garrison, you don't know anything. So what you have to do is you have to listen more than you talk. You're going to get out there amongst these magnificent non-commissioned officers who have been in the military for 15, 20 years, whatever it might be, and they'll teach you if you shut up and listen. And I'll tell you a personal story. I was at West Point, and I graduated in 1977. And in 1977, I was a big deal. I led all the parades. I had 6 stripes in my uniform. I was a big deal. And when I left the West Point, I was convinced I was God's gift to the Army, that God had personally ordained me to go fix all of the Army problems. So I get to my first assignment at Fort Hood, Texas. I'm a platoon leader of 30 men at the time, and I just start barking orders. We're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do that. And the platoon sergeant, who stood about this tall, Jesse Hilly, said, "Lieutenant, come with me." And he put me in a broom closet that was big enough for me and him and the broom. That's how small this closet was. And he looked me in the eye and said, "Lieutenant, you got a choice. You can keep barking those orders, and I'm going to let you fall flat on your butt. Or you can shut up and listen, and I'll teach you how to be a platoon leader." Thank God I took course of action number 2, and I shut up and listened. And he taught me, so everywhere I went, I listened more than I talked, especially to the non-commissioned officers. And I don't know how much exposure you've all had to non-commissioned officers. I know there are some here with you, but I got to tell you, the first thing you got to do when you get into your unit, whatever it is, Army, Air Force, Guard, Reserve, active duty, thank your non-commissioned officers. Thank them for their service and their sacrifice, because candidly, we don't pay them anything like they should be paid. You'll be making more money on your first day than they make after 12 years in the Army, which makes no sense. But listen to your non-commissioned officers. And then be adaptive. There's a war hero right there, Eric Bacchus. And I hope you've had the privilege of being with him over the course of your time here at Clarkson University. But he fought with me in combat in Iraq as part of the surge. I mean, if you'll recall, our President Bush at the time said, "Hey, the senior military like me are asking for more troops in Iraq, so I'm going to listen to my senior military regardless of the polls, and we're going to surge into Iraq." Because we'd been there so long with insufficient troops, we couldn't do what we needed to do. So the surge gave us those troops. I commanded 25,000 of those troops in the worst part of Iraq. And we took the place that was called the Triangle of Death and turned it into the Triangle of Life because of folks like Colonel Bacchus, because of folks like him who turned that place around because they were adaptive. One of you all is going to be an armor officer, right? Raise your hand. What do you know about chicken farming? What do you know about fish farming? What do you know about building buses? Well, you better learn, right? Because as Eric will tell you, that's what we got ourselves into in Iraq. We were fighting and winning. We had terrorists like you wouldn't believe. We dropped, and the Air Force can appreciate this, in my battle space, we dropped 30,000 pounds of bombs in 13 seconds to prep the battlefield, right? Once we did that kind of stuff, we had to go in and secure the environment by helping the people survive. And the people of Iraq were good people. They weren't all bad people. There were probably 10,000 bad people, but there were 16 million Iraqis who wanted what we want. They wanted freedom from fear. They wanted to be able to take care of their families. So we had to figure out how to get their livelihood back again by reminding them about fish farming and poultry farming and bus manufacturing and all that stuff. So I'm just telling you, you got to be adaptive. If you think all you're going to do is shoot tanks, you're missing the point, because there's a whole bunch of things going on, and it's the way it was in the past, and it's the way it's going to be in the future. And the last thing I want to make sure that I highlight for you, because it's critical, is taking care of your people. I don't know why that's so hard for leaders across the nation to understand. Sarah and I now, for the last 11 years, have been teaching leadership to corporate America. We take folks on leadership tours. We do individual leadership training. We do those kinds of things. But the issue is they don't understand. That's a gross generalization. Many of them don't understand the importance of taking care of their people. What you got to do is take care of your people. You're going to be entrusted with 30, 10, 15, in my case, 25,000, 65,000, 120,000. You got to love each one like they were your children. And you got to take care of them like they're your children. Sarah's taught me so much over the years. She taught me the phrase, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I've always said, take care of them and they'll take care of you. So please, please, make it a point to get to know your people. You're a leader. Are you only a leader 8 hours a day, 5 days a week? No, you're a leader 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and you have to know your people. Not just how they're doing at work, but how they're doing at home. We're having major problems these days with mental health and wellness. Major problems with suicide. You're tracking all that. The way you can affect that is to be an effective leader. Take care of your people. Know your people. Visit your people, both in the motor pool and at home on the weekends, and make sure they're okay. So those three things, and I'll ask you about them as we're having a cup of coffee out there. Do you remember the three things? Aspire to be the best, know your job, and take care of your people. Now, what you're fixing to do is critical. So I'm not going to let you go into this without understanding the impact of what you're doing. You're going to swear an oath of office. And it's that oath of office that everybody in our government has to swear. And, oh, by the way, even the President of the United States and members of Congress swear the same oath. So it's a big deal. So don't just think this is another thing that we're going to blow through and go have a cup of coffee. But listen closely to the words that the people read to you and you repeat for the oath of enlistment. Remember, you're going to swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. Do you know what that is? Have you read the Constitution? Have you memorized the preamble to the Constitution? Have you read the articles? Have you read the Bill of Rights? Do you know about the constitutional amendments? You got to know that. And if you don't know that, by golly, the first thing you ought to do when you get commissioned is grab one of those pocket guides for the U.S. Constitution and read it. Because that's what you're swearing to, that you'll support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. When the enlisted soldiers swear their oath of office, they swear to support the Constitution and they swear to obey their orders of the President of the United States and the orders of the officer appointed over them. You don't do that. You're focusing on supporting and defending the Constitution, so know what it is. Defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. You're going to say that you're taking this obligation freely. You're going to say you have no mental reservation. You promise to faithfully discharge the duties of your office. And then you're going to say these important words. So help me God. So help me God. First off, Toby mentioned it to the group. God bless you families, because they would not be here today without your love and support. I guarantee it. When I went off to West Point, my dad was a private in 1945 and a private in 1947 when he was asked to leave the Army. He hated the Army. I told him I'm going to West Point. He said, boy, you're not going to like that. The Army sucks. I said, no, Dad, I'm going because I can't afford to go anywhere else. So I get to West Point, and after 3 weeks, I realized he was right. I was in the wrong place, you know. I shouldn't have been there getting yelled at every day. So I finally got to call home, and I called home. Dad answered. I said, Dad, you're right. This place sucks. I'm coming home. Pregnant pause. He said, boy, where are you going to sleep? He said, you start it, you finish it. That's what you've done for these folks up here, is you've demanded that they focus on the task at hand, and now their success of graduating from this prestigious university or the other university in the area. You got to continue that support. They're going to need you more after they get commissioned than they are right now. You always got to reach out to your peers, your colleagues, your friends, your mentors, your families for love and support, because what you're going to be doing is so darn hard. And I told the cadets I had lunch with, you're going to war. Don't think you're not going to war. I went to war on 4 separate occasions. You're going to war because we got evil people out there trying to take away our freedoms to our way of life. You got to be prepared for that, and you're going to need a lot of help. So don't think I can do it by myself. You can't. Call your parents. I called my parents every Sunday from the day I was commissioned. Every Sunday. When my mom passed, it's still hard for me on Sundays because she's not there to answer the phone, but Dad was still alive, so I called him every day because I needed his love and support. I reached out to my friends. I reached out to my peers, my colleagues, my mentors, my teachers for their love and support, and you need to do the same thing. But the thing I want to highlight that you're fixing to say is, so help me God. So help me God. Remember, in combat, I was responsible for 25,000 human beings, our nation's most precious resource. 153 soldiers died on the battlefield on a place I placed them, and I got to live with that the rest of my life. Every day, I went to God in prayer, and I asked God to help me. Give me the strength, and give me the courage, and give me the wisdom to do the things I need to do. And oh, by the way, when we had tragedy, and we had lots of tragedy, didn't we, Eric? We had lots of tragedy. We had a house-borne IED explode when an infantry squad went in, and 5 soldiers were killed immediately. 5 soldiers. I flew out on the battlefield. I got down on my knees with the battalion commander, and we prayed to ask God to help us through those difficult times. So when you hear this oath of office today, listen to all the words. Study the Constitution, but concentrate on that idea, so help me God. You're going to need the help. So for all of you, God bless you. And no, I'm always going to be there for you. I passed out some of my business cards already. If you run into a situation where you need help, give us a call, because that's what we do. I guarantee everything you're going to experience, Sarah and I have already experienced it. And we'll take the time to help you, give you our thoughts and ideas, and maybe it'll be useful for us. Just know we appreciate you. You're a national treasure. We, a nation, will be okay because of you and your leadership, your dedication, and your folks are doing. For your family members, again, God bless you all. Thank you, but they're going to need your help. Take care, and God bless. Thank you.
At this time, Cadet Battalion Commander William Tiller and Cadet Wing Commander Bryant Barrientos are presenting General Lynch with a gift of thanks. The commissioned class of 2023 is presenting General Lynch with a plaque made of Potsdam sandstone as a symbol of appreciation for his time today. The plaque reads, "Thank you for your words of wisdom, years of service, and dedication to the country." All right, before we commission this year's Clarkson Army cadets, we want to recognize the members of the Golden Knight Battalion from our partnership schools and cadets who will commission into this year group in the near future. Cadet Jesse Paddock will attend advanced camp this summer and will commission after training. He will graduate from Clarkson University with a degree in political science with a philosophy minor. Cadet Ethan Bates will commission into the Signal Corps and serve in the New York National Guard. He will graduate from SUNY State University of New York at Potsdam with a degree in music. Cadet Brennan McGowan will commission as an armor officer and serve in the Vermont National Guard. He will graduate from St. Lawrence University with degrees in environmental studies and business and liberal arts. And Cadet Kevin Quinn will commission into the Field Artillery and his first duty assignment will be the Field Artillery Basic Officer Leaders Course at Fort Sill, Oklahoma. He will graduate from St. Louis with degrees in mathematics and economics. We will now commission the Army cadets as second lieutenants. An officer will administer the oath to the cadet. They will then have their gold bars pinned on their uniform for the first time. This signifies their rank as second lieutenants. The second lieutenant will then receive their first salute from an enlisted service member. This salute is traditionally known as the silver dollar salute, as the newly commissioned officer will present a silver dollar as a symbol of mutual respect and trust between the officer and the enlisted corps. Colonel Clark will present each commissionee with a cord to be worn with their cap and gown during commencement, which will recognize them as graduates who have served or will serve in the military. And finally, they'll get their commissioning certificate from General Lynch. Cadet Cade Salzano, administering her oath of office, will be Captain Anson Wu.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Kay Salzano,
Having been appointed an officer in the Army of the United States
having been appointed an officer in the Army of the United States
in the grade of second lieutenant,
in the grade of second lieutenant,
solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
I will support and defend
I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
That I take this obligation freely,
That I take this obligation freely,
without any mental reservations or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
the duties of the office,
upon which I am about to enter.
the power of which I'm about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Lieutenant Salzano's bars, signifying her new rank, will be placed on her uniform by her mother, Karen Barber. Lieutenant Salzano was selected for educational delay and will attend Clarkson in the Doctor of Physical Therapy program prior to entering active duty. She will receive a Bachelor of Science degree in psychology with a minor in biology in the pre-physical therapy track. Lieutenant Salzano will receive her silver dollar salute from Senior Airman Bucky Laddison. Cadet Francesca Filiacci, administering her oath of office, will be her brother, First Lieutenant Gino Filiacci.
I state your name.
I, Frankie Filiacci,
Having been appointed an officer
having been appointed an officer
in the Army of the United States
in the Army of the United States
in the grade of second lieutenant,
in the grade of second lieutenant,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservations or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservations or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
upon which I am about to enter.
upon which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Lieutenant Filiacci's bars, signifying her new rank, will be placed on her uniform by her mother and father, Nancy and Casey Filiacci, and her fiancé, Lieutenant Austin Frere. Lieutenant Filiacci is commissioned into the Quartermaster branch. She will receive a Bachelor of Science degree in Innovation and Entrepreneurship with a minor in New Product Development and Marketing. She will attend the Quartermaster Officer Basic course at Fort Gregg Adams, Virginia, and her first duty assignment will be with Headquarters Detachment 164th Transportation Battalion, Massachusetts Army National Guard. Lieutenant Filiacci will receive her silver dollar salute from Master Sergeant James Prescott, the Senior Military Science Instructor at Clarkson. Cadet Ina Liu, administering her oath of office, will be Lieutenant Colonel retired Eric Backus.
Raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Ina Liu,
Having been appointed an officer
have been appointed an officer
in the Army of the United States
in the Army of the United States
in the grade of second lieutenant,
in the grade of second lieutenant,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
both foreign and domestic,
both foreign and domestic,
and I'll bear true faith
and will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same.
and allegiance to the same.
I take this obligation freely,
I take this obligation freely,
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of the office
of the office
upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which I'm about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Lieutenant Liu's bars signifying her new rank will be placed on her uniform by her mother, Chungling Zhang. Lieutenant Liu is commissioned into the Corps of Engineers. She will receive a Bachelor of Science degree in Civil Engineering with a minor in Architectural and Facilities Engineering. She will attend the Engineer Officer Basic course at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, and her first duty assignment will be Headquarters and Headquarters Company, 229th Brigade Engineer Battalion with the Virginia National Guard in Fredericksburg, Virginia. Lieutenant Liu will receive her silver dollar salute from Master Sergeant Prescott. Cadet Nicholas Cesarano, administering his oath of office, will be Lieutenant Colonel Clark.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your full name.
I, Nicholas Cesarano,
Having been appointed an officer
having been appointed an officer
in the Army of the United States
in the Army of the United States
at the grade of second lieutenant,
at the grade of second lieutenant,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to support and defend
to support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic.
foreign and domestic,
And I will bear true faith
and I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same.
and allegiance to the same.
I take this obligation freely,
I take this obligation freely,
without mental reservation
without mental reservation
or purpose of evasion.
or purpose of evasion.
I will faithfully
I will well faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of the office
of the office
upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which I'm about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Lieutenant Cesarano's barge, signifying his new rank, will be placed on his uniform by his mother and father, Denise and Michael Cesarano. Lieutenant Cesarano is commissioned into the Corps of Engineers. He will receive a Bachelor of Science degree in Mechanical Engineering with a minor in Mathematics. He will serve at Fort Knox, Kentucky this summer to assist at cadet summer training prior to attending the Engineer Officer Basic course at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. Lieutenant Cesarano will receive his silver dollar salute from Master Sergeant Prescott. Hey. Lieutenant Cesarano is also receiving a certificate recognizing him as a distinguished military graduate, signifying his high standing in the class and National Order of Merit list. Cadet Zachary Brosnick, administering his oath of office, will be Navy Captain retired Brandon Chang.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Zachary Brosnick,
I, Zachary Brosnick,
having been appointed an officer in the Army of the United States
having been appointed an officer in the Army of the United
in
States
the grade of second lieutenant,
in the grade of second lieutenant,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of this office
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of this office
upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Lieutenant Brosnick's barge, signifying his new rank, will be placed on his uniform by his mother and father, Lisa and Randy Brosnick. Lieutenant Brosnick is commissioned into the Armor Branch. He will receive a Bachelor of Science degree in Chemical Engineering. He will serve at Fort Knox, Kentucky this summer to assist at cadet summer training prior to attending the Armor Officer Basic course at Fort Moore, Georgia. Lieutenant Brosnick will receive his silver dollar salute, not from Master Sergeant Prescott, but from his grandfather, Sergeant Bernard Radomski.
Congratulations, sir.
Cadet Mackenzie Tukalski, administering her oath of office, will be her father, Colonel Scott Tukalski.
your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Mackenzie Tukolsky,
Having been appointed an officer
having been appointed an officer
in the Army of the United States
in the Army of the United States
in the grade of second lieutenant,
in the grade of second lieutenant,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservations or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservations or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties of the office
discharge the duties of the office
upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which I'm about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Lieutenant Tukolsky's bar signifying her new rank will be placed on her uniform by her mother and father, Michelle and Scott Tukolsky. Lieutenant Tukolsky is commissioned into the Corps of Engineers. She will receive Bachelor of Science degrees in Environmental Engineering and Environmental Health and Science with a concentration in Industrial Hygiene. She will serve at Fort Knox, Kentucky this summer to assist at cadet summer training prior to attending the Engineer Officer Basic course at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. Lieutenant Tukolsky will receive her silver salute from Master Sergeant Prescott. Our guest speaker, General Lynch, will now administer the oath of office to our remaining Army cadets.
You three are stuck with me, and for that I apologize. And in my younger years, I remembered this, but now I'm going to read it. You know, many of you can relate to that. Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I state your full name.
I, Conrad Doherty.
I, Richard Pandel.
I, William Tiller.
Having been appointed an officer in the Army of the United States
Having been appointed an officer in the United States
in the grade of second lieutenant,
in the grade of second lieutenant,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
and I will bear true faith
and I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the same,
to the same,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservations or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservations or purpose of evasion,
and I will well and faithfully discharge
and I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
upon which I am about to enter.
upon which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Lieutenant Conrad Doherty. Lieutenant Doherty's bars, signifying his new rank, will be placed on his uniform by his mother and father, Jane and Michael Doherty. Lieutenant Doherty is commissioned as an Aero Medevac pilot. He will receive a Bachelor of Science degree in Engineering and Management with a minor in Project Management, and he will serve in the Army Reserves with C Company Medevac, 7th of the 158th Aviation Regiment at Fort Carson, Colorado. Lieutenant Doherty will receive his silver dollar salute from Master Sergeant Prescott. Lieutenant Doherty is also receiving a certificate recognizing him as a distinguished military graduate, signifying his high standing in the class and National Order of Merit list. Lieutenant Pandel, Richard Pandel. Lieutenant Pandel's bar, signifying his new rank, will be placed on his uniform by his mother and father, Martha and Richard Pandel. Lieutenant Pandel is commissioned into the Ordnance Branch. He will receive Bachelor of Science degrees in Financial Information and Analysis and Global Supply Chain Management. He will serve in the Michigan National Guard in the 1073rd Maintenance Company out of Greenville, Michigan. Lieutenant Pandell will receive his Silver Dollar salute from Master Sergeant Prescott. Lieutenant William Tiller. Finally, Lieutenant Tiller's bar, signifying his new rank, will be placed on his uniform by his mother, Jennifer Streeter, and his brother, Jacob. Lieutenant Tiller is commissioned into the Ordnance Branch. He will receive a Bachelor of Science degree in Civil Engineering. He will serve in the New York National Guard with the 204th Engineer Battalion out of Binghamton, New York. Lieutenant Tiller will receive his Silver Dollar salute from Master Sergeant Prescott. Narrating for the Air Force will be Major Phil White, Assistant Professor of Air and Space Studies, United States Air Force ROTC Detachment 536 at Clarkson.
Cadet Michaela Morris. Administering her oath of office will be her father, Major Kenneth Morris, U.S. Army retired.
I state your name.
I, Michaela Rihanna Morris,
Having been appointed a second lieutenant in the United States Air Force,
having been appointed a second lieutenant in the United States Air Force,
do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution
that I do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution
of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I take this obligation freely,
that I take this obligation freely,
without mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter.
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon the office of which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Signifying her new rank, Lieutenant Morris's bars will be placed on her uniform by her mother and brother, Beth Brady and Rick Morris. Lieutenant Morris is commissioned as a physicist, United States Air Force. She will receive Bachelor's of Science degrees in both physics and mechanical engineering from Clarkson University. Her first duty assignment is Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Ohio. Lieutenant Morris is recognized as a distinguished graduate for Air Force ROTC. This designation recognizes graduates who have demonstrated a high degree of ability, initiative, and other leadership qualities and finished in the top 10% of all Air Force ROTC graduates nationwide. Cadet Robert Freeman. Administering of his oath of office will be Captain Benjamin Davis.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Robert Dean Freeman,
having been appointed a second lieutenant in the United States Air Force,
having been appointed a second lieutenant in the United States Air Force,
do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
of
the office upon which I'm about to enter.
the office upon which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Signifying his new rank, Lieutenant Freeman's bars will be placed on his uniform by his parents, Bob and Laura Freeman. Lieutenant Freeman is commissioned as a Combat Systems Officer, United States Air Force. He will receive a Bachelor's of Science degree in Aerospace Engineering from Clarkson University. His first duty assignment is Naval Air Station, Pensacola, Florida. Lieutenant Colonel Baxter will now administer the oath to the remaining Air Force cadets.
Raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Brian Barrentos.
I, Matthew Grover.
I, Jared Norton.
Having been appointed a second lieutenant in the United States Air Force,
Having been appointed a second lieutenant in the United States Air Force,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter.
discharge the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, gentlemen.
Lieutenant Bryant Barrientos. Signifying his new rank, Lieutenant Barrientos' bars will be placed on his uniform by his parents, Bertha and Gabriel Barrientos. Lieutenant Barrientos is commissioned as a civil engineer, United States Air Force. He will receive a Bachelor's of Science degree in Civil Engineering from Clarkson University. His first duty assignment is Shaw Air Force Base, South Carolina. Lieutenant Matthew Grover. Signifying his new rank, Lieutenant Grover's bars will be placed on his uniform by his parents, Tracy and Nick Grover. Lieutenant Grover is commissioned as a Combat Systems Officer, United States Air Force. He will receive a Bachelor's of Science degree in Mechanical Engineering from Clarkson University. His first duty assignment is Naval Air Station, Pensacola, Florida. Lieutenant Grover will receive the Silver Dollar Salute from his grandfather, Private First Class Nicholas Grover. Lieutenant Jared Norton. Signifying his new rank, Lieutenant Norton's bars will be placed on his uniform by his sisters, Sarah Kate and Amelia Norton. Lieutenant Norton is commissioned as a Combat Systems Officer, United States Air Force. He will receive a Bachelor's of Science degree in Aeronautical Engineering from Clarkson University. His first duty assignment is Naval Air Station, Pensacola, Florida.
Yeah, I can't help myself because I refuse to not right the wrong. First off, I'll sleep better tonight because of all you new second lieutenants. Our nation is in good hands. And for the parents and the family, I saw your love and support in your eyes when you came up here. So I just know that they're in good hands because you're going to continue to support them. You know, I went to war on 4 separate occasions. If you went to war, since 9/11, raise your hand. Be recognized. See, when we came back from combat, we could not step a foot on the nation's streets without being thanked for our service and our sacrifice. We could not go into a restaurant without somebody coming up and offering to pay for our meal and our family's meal. And I thank God for that. But for our Vietnam era veterans, that didn't happen. It's a national embarrassment. They came back and they had to change out of the uniform for them at the first available restaurant or restroom just for fear of being spat on by an ungrateful American public. That's a national embarrassment. And I never allow an opportunity to pass by where I can't recognize a Vietnam era veteran. So, sir, if you would, please stand up. God bless you. Thank you. Welcome home. Welcome home. There we go. There we go.
We'll let you sit down. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct honor to introduce the Army and Air Force's newest second lieutenants. We'd like to thank all the participants, planners, and supporters that made today's program possible. Please stand for the benediction by Captain Chang, followed by the playing of the Army and the Air Force songs.
Let us pray. As we celebrate the culmination of years of challenges and the hard work, we ask God for your blessings on these new second lieutenants. As they take what they've learned in their education and training, instill in them a thirst for continued knowledge, for leadership, for humility, and for empathy to others. And Father, keep them safe. We ask this in the name of the Almighty God. Amen.
This concludes the 2023 ROTC commissioning ceremony. Have a safe trip home, and I believe there's refreshments out in the lobby. Thank you.